I think the love that I found in myself from being a father for my child, I just felt like I couldn't really make excuses for adults anymore.
And it also shows you that your kids are you. That's the thing I see the most. I look at my daughter, I look at my son, I be like, man, damn, y'all pick up on the same traits.
You ever notice deadbeat niggas don't get the problems we get? The niggas that don't give a shit, they don't go through the shit we get, bro.
Generational wealth ain't property. Ain't no man that I ever met that said he wanted to leave generational wealth for his kids and looked at it in terms of material. I never met a man that died that left that.
Welcome to the Rap Dad Show, the only show where we pull up on artists wherever they may be, have them hop in the Sprinter, and talk all things fatherhood. I'm your host, Esteban Serrano. I'm a TV producer, director, author, and father of 3. Today, we in the Bronx to catch up with one of the hottest designers in fashion, who's also a dope MC and an amazing rap dad, my man, Jay Tips.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.
For sure. So, what was your relationship like with your father?
My relationship with my father was, I had young parents. So, like weekend dad, very, very like vocal, very like sports dad. Like he would try to be on like the sideline for all my sports games, but also, he was very popular in the neighborhood. So I couldn't go nowhere without saying like, that's Andrew's son, something like that. So it's like, and as I got older, kind of like relationships changed and stuff like that. But he was very, very like militant sports. Well, 8 a.m. you got to do 10 push-ups. If you don't do your homework, you got to do 20 push-ups kind of dad.
So where were you in your life when you became a father?
Me, I was 23 when I found out. I was 24 when my son was born, but I was working in Foot Locker. I just stopped working in Foot Locker to just pursue doing music more independently, traveling, trying to do like the show circuit. I was doing like the South by Southwest's and just anything that I can do to kind of get on the road, kind of just kind of be heard and seen. And then I felt I was gonna have a kid, and it just kind of just lit a fire. I felt like it was like my calling. Like even though I was very young. Now I look at it as like, oh, man, I was a father in most of my 20s. So it was like, I just felt like it was the discipline I needed to kind of stay focused.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Most people would be terrified.
Yeah.
In that situation, but you were like, it lit a fire. I feel like for the right man, when we find out that, our girls are having a baby, they start to nest and we start to like straighten up, tighten up. Like, I feel like that's a common thread. Like, you look around, you see who's in your life that don't really add value, don't need to be there, but you're also like evaluating where are my next steps so that I can be sure to take care of this seed.
Yeah, man, it changed everything about me. Like, I was very, very big on like collecting shoes and frivolous spending and shopping and trying to, go viral for the wrong reasons. Like, and I think being a father like made me realize that like you leave a trail. Your kids are very, very like, they're sponges. They watch everything you do. They just watch you like a hawk, and it's also like a love that comes out of you that you can't replicate. So it's like I wanted to always make sure that I was present and stuff. So I had to really, like you said, straighten up, sharpen up.
Word.
Yeah.
So what do you think was the biggest change that happened for you when you became a father? Like, what did you see as like, oh no, this is different and this is because of this?
I'm thinking it was something I started to feel. Like, I started to feel different about things. My memories started to feel different. Like just things that's in your head. Like the meaning behind punishments, the meaning behind like maybe things that my mom was holding behind, or just the reasons that my dad told me certain things. Like being a dad, it felt like I had a different meaning to like certain things, so I started to internalize things differently. And it's almost crazy because it's something that maybe I lived with for 10, 15 years that now I'm waking up and maybe I'm mad at it. Maybe I'm mad at like someone not trying a little bit harder or that excuse. Like, what I'm saying? Like, now you remember why like you didn't spend the holiday with someone, or you didn't spend like, or you didn't go on a trip or something like that, or like even like custody was built the way it was when like, hey, I just spend time with my dad on the weekend, but my dad only lives 2 blocks away, so maybe you could have took me to the park, maybe you could have did certain things. So it's like, I think the love that I found in myself from being a father for my child, I just felt like I couldn't really make excuses for adults anymore, and I just kind of like maybe like mature times 10. I feel like.
Word.
Yeah.
Please welcome my good friend Esteban Serrano is here, man. Esteban! I'm really proud of him for his new book, The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through the Lens of Hip Hop. Let's go over some of the commandments.
Ooh, let's do it.
Commandment number 1, know your role.
Know your role.
What is a father?
You cannot fulfill a role that hasn't been defined.
Right.
Okay.
So if you don't know what those responsibilities are, what those tasks that you need to be over are, how you going to do a great job?
Commandment number 2, watch the company you keep.
Fatherhood, especially for me, was a great excuse to evaluate my company and see who was adding value and who wasn't adding value, but also who do I want to have access to my sons?
Yeah.
Commandment number 3 is protect.
The big part of that chapter for me is teaching my sons how to protect their peace. That's paramount.
Well, one of the big things with my daughter's big into gymnastics and dance, and she's very, very like visual. Like she's the one that I think like if you'll always wonder like what child would be mostly like you. Like she's into shoes, she's into clothes, she's into stuff. But my son, he's more like I could see him being more technical. Like I could see him being the person that learns how to code and build websites and do things from like a technical aspect. Like one thing that I always like kind of hated about like seeing how other people parented was like you kind of can force things on the kid. Like you can force like football and just a lot of different things on him. So like my son, I'm really still trying to learn. He's 9, but I'm still trying to learn what he gravitates to. And even though he like plays games and he does stuff, he has like I try to feed like the deeper root to what he loves about this stuff. Like he loves to kind of like, if he's a fan of it, I kind of like embrace it. I'll take him to a store and let him see things in person and read more about the stuff. Not just like it's different ways to contribute into things that you love.
Absolutely.
So I try to like just feed what he's into and just see if like other things grow, other plants grow from it.
Your work takes you around the world, and obviously you can't bring them everywhere.
Yeah.
So is there some like permanent like staples or guardrails like, look, this is not a deal breaker. I need to be here, X amount of time. How do you balance it all?
Well, the beauty about like fashion trends and stuff is a lot of that stuff happens usually on the weekends. So a lot of times it's like I do need to figure out like coordinate with like their mom and like my mom and like anyone that can help just to make sure I can kind of navigate before I can say yes to something, which is like very, very something that maybe only if you're a parent you understand how like you can't usually say yes to something. You got to make a call first and you got to make sure everyone understands what's happening before you commit to something, because in this line of work, sometimes a quick yes can lead to the next 6 months of your life or the next year, 2 years about putting other people out their way and putting yourself out the way and changing your whole freedom. Like if you just take a job in LA tomorrow, it affects your whole family. And, sometimes you just got to wait. So that's pretty much me just having to make sure like all the dots is crossed and everything, just making sure everything makes sense.
So your son was your firstborn. But then you had a daughter. Yeah. So tell me about the difference between being a boy dad and a girl dad.
Well, boy dad is rough. Like my son was very, very like all over the place. Like he'll hit me in the face. He just wants to throw the ball. He'll throw the ball against the TV. He was real like you had to make sure you put like the like plastics on the corners so he doesn't bump his face and like everything you kind of learn like textbook. And then my daughter, like she from very, very young age was very, very like just knowledgeable on her emotions, and she'll almost like be able to read the room, and she puts herself to sleep. She gets herself dressed. she'll like know when something's wrong. She'll give you like an extra tight hug. She'll tell you she loves you. She has like affirmations. She does a lot of different things where like my son is still like, you got to walk over and wipe stuff off his face, and you got to make sure that his shirt is not on backwards. When my daughter is like, she's very, very, like, she's almost like a little adult. And I can understand like people with a son and a daughter having two different experiences, because I have. So it's like almost like two different kids.
Yo, that's wild. Yeah, so I only have boys, so I don't know anything, but all my friends who have daughters are like, it's no love like the love from your little girl.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it sounds to me like it could be like your daughter, even though she's younger, is probably the more mature one of your...
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And I think that's something that I also learned a lot about women, I think, when I had a daughter, because I think there is something in like the DNA, it has to be from such a young age, where it's just like natural nurturers, like just someone that can know how to, you know, just control the ship and how to make sure everybody is just taken care of and stuff, just from very small things. Like she'll just make sure like just your plate doesn't fall off the table. Like she just does stuff that is just like, yo, it has to be something that's genetic, where she just has it all under control. Like where my son is, he's a mess. He's his shirt's probably on backwards right now.
Word.
Yeah.
This interview ain't over yet, but I wanted to let you know that this is just a piece of a longer conversation you can check out on the Rap Dad Show podcast on all platforms. I don't want you to miss gems like this.
Like even people you can leave your kid with, like that list gets so small when you think about certain things, and then you start wondering, why am I even around these people? Like if I can't rely on them to just be an influence.
So you got two kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play a game called Most Likely To. I'll give you some scenarios and you tell me who's most likely to do what. Who's most likely to be president of the United States, your son or your daughter?
My daughter.
Word.
Yeah.
Because she's already the boss.
Yeah, she's already bossy, yeah.
That's awesome. Who's most likely to follow in your footsteps and be a creative?
I would say my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to stick up for you when you need a backup?
My son.
Word.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to resell a pair of your sneakers?
My son, definitely.
Rap Dads, thanks for watching. I know you got some gems from this episode. If so, hit that like button and share your favorite takeaways in the comments. This is just a taste of a much longer conversation you can find on your favorite podcast platforms. Tap in with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. For fly merch and updates, check out rapdads.com and join the mailing list so you're always up to date. And remember our mantra, what's best for my child wins. God bless you and your family. Peace.